Okay. Welcome everybody to our October Cynosure HQIC Patient Family Partnership Hub meeting. Our vision here is the Cynosure HQIC Patient Family Partnership Hub is a peer learning community for patient family partners collaborating with the 11 states that make up Cynosure HQIC. Patient family partners will use their lived experiences to co-create improved care for all people in partnership with Cynosure HQIC hospitals. These are our agreements we go through every meeting. We practice active and empathetic listening and sharing. We want to challenge the idea, not the person. We want to be both teachers and learners. Take space and make space. The stories stay and the lessons leave. Use I statements. One person speaks at a time and be here now. This is our agenda for today. We'll do our introductions, our welcome. Then Lindsay will talk about patient family partnership programs in hospitals, the technical assistance plan. And then we have a discussion about patient family partnership role. And then Bev will talk a little bit about some engagement opportunity improvement efforts for us. So here is our check-in question for today. It's one that I ask, I think a couple times a year. I think it's my favorite because I get a list of books out of it. So let us know your name, where you're calling in from, and what are you currently reading? We'll go ahead and start with Anthony.
Hi, everyone. Anthony Sanchez, Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm not currently reading anything.
Nice. Thanks for joining us. Barbara.
I'm in San Francisco working with Sutter Health, and I'm currently reading a book from my book group, which I haven't started yet, called Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis. I know nothing about it.
That's exciting. I love starting a new book. Thank you, Barbara. Maureen.
Okay, hold on, Claire. Wait. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Oh, good. I am Maureen Dispo from the Baylor Scott and White Health System. I am Regional Director of Quality. I have a joint commission here, so I'm really sorry, guys. I might be in and out. I am currently reading Emotional Vampires.
Ooh. Sounds interesting. Thanks for joining us today.
You bet.
Glenn.
Hi, I'm in Los Angeles. I'm not currently reading it, but I read this book a couple months ago. It's called Can't Hurt Me. And it was recommended by a friend of mine, because if you're lacking any motivation, this guy will definitely motivate you. So the book's about this guy who he's nuts. Like he had to go through he's a Navy SEAL, but he had to go through the Navy SEAL program 3 times because he broke a leg. I mean, nobody's done it 3 times, and he's the only guy that's gone through it 3 times. And then he's gone on to do all this amazing stuff, and he's a very motivating guy. So if you need some motivation, the book is called Can't Hurt Me.
Can't Hurt Me. I will write that one down. Thank you. Sounds interesting. Kathy.
Hi, I am Kathy Salazar. I'm in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm the healthcare program director for Parents Reaching Out, which means I coordinate the Family Healthcare Information Center for New Mexico. When I read for pure enjoyment of it. And I just got done reading Fairy Tale by Stephen King. So
Oh, nice. Love a good Stephen King book, especially this time of year. Mary.
Hi, everybody. It's Mary Schramke. I actually live in Hawaii. Used to live in California, so I still work with Barbara and other folks at Sutter Health. But I also do some work here in Hawaii. I'm not much of a book reader usually. Tend to, read articles. Maybe it's my attention span. But we did go to Alaska earlier this year and before, and they're still working through a book written about Alaska's nature, which I'm real interested in, by John Muir. I mean, he traveled a lot in Northern California and Alaska, and his writings, to me are pretty inspiring. So thanks.
Mhm. Yeah, we love John Muir. Thank you. Rebecca.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Hancock from the Indiana Hospital Association of Quality and Patient Safety Advisor, and I'm sorry to say that I have about 15 articles on the relationship between oral health and COPD and pulmonary disease on my lap right now. But in the not so distant table here is Clergyman's Daughter by George Orwell is
Oh,
on my next list. It's an older book, but
a little better
older.
than. Well, thank you. Thanks for joining us today.
Mhm.
Lindsay.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lindsay Galley. I'm the Vice President of Programs at PFCC Partners located in Sacramento. I'm currently, I recently got into tarot cards, so I'm reading a book about how to read tarot cards, and it's pretty interesting. So if you ever want your tarot read, happy to happy to help.
Might take you up on that. Thank you. And Bev.
Hi, I'm Bev Kreider from just outside of Detroit, Michigan, and I work with the lovely people at PFCC Partners as a PFP specialist. I am reading a book it's an older book called Sway, The Irresistible Pull of Irrational Behavior, and the title just sucked me right in.
Yeah, I bet. Thank you. Just making sure I didn't miss anybody. I don't think so. I think I got everyone. I'm Laura Jackson. I'm the Director of Community at PFCC Partners. And I currently live in Eugene, Oregon. And I am reading, oh, no, I forgot. Oh, The Secret History by Donna Tartt. It's so far a murder mystery. So perfect for this time of year. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining and humoring me with my checking question today. And I will go ahead and pass it off to Lindsay.
Awesome. Thank you, Laura. And hi, everyone. So just wanted to provide some more information about how we are supporting the hospitals in Cynosure HQIC over the next couple of months. We're really focusing on the 5th patient family engagement for equity metric. And when I say metric, I'm referring to the assessments that the hospitals are completing twice a year. They have about, I think it's 12 questions or metrics to report on. And the 5th one is really focused on, does the hospital have what the metric says is patient family engagement committee, but what we really mean is a patient family advisory council or patient family partnership program, which is really where our language is transitioning to. So, and we're focusing on helping hospitals meet this metric of having a patient family partnership program, because we really feel and believe that when hospitals have a patient family partnership program, they're able to achieve all of the other patient family engagement for equity metrics. So if they're working on their admissions planning, if they have an advisory council, then they would be, taking their admissions checklist to the advisory council or building it with the advisory council, which would be, they're going above and beyond and performing on that metric. So our goal is to really help hospitals move forward on that metric. I think we've talked about this before, but how the assessment is set up, it's what's called a maturity model. So hospitals can say really where they're at in their journey to achieving that metric. So it's not just a, yes, we have a council, or no, we don't. It's, you know, we're on this journey, we're taking steps to achieve or meet this metric. So really focusing on that over the next couple of months, and we will be reassessing all of the hospitals in January to see if we have made any progress, or if the hospitals have made progress on this metric in particular. So our plan then is to host first 3 storming sessions that are actually taking place next week. And these storming sessions, they're 30 minutes for hospital representatives to come together and just share their challenges, the questions that they have, what resources that are needed. It's really just kind of throwing it all out there on the table for those hospitals. And we're really utilizing those 3 sessions to understand where the hospitals are challenged when it comes to the development of a patient-family partnership program, in order to help inform our next set of technical assistant, which will be a patient-family engagement for equity sprint in later this fall. So I think a few of you have been involved in sprints for other topic areas, but it's really just a set of meetings with action planning during the meetings and in between the meetings to really help move hospitals forward. So for example, there was a sepsis sprint recently, and hospitals would come together and talk about a variety of topics or brainstorm a variety of topics related to sepsis. One of them, of course, being patient-family engagement. So we're still setting up what that's going to look like for patient-family engagement, and in particular, helping the hospitals meet metric 5. But we are really hoping to engage patient-family partners, of course, in that sprint series, and be able to share, some of your ideas on how hospitals can really take steps to engage patients and families in the work that they're already doing. And so we're going to talk more about that and start that brainstorm in just a few minutes. Outside of the storming sessions and the sprint series, we're really bucketing the resources that we have already created. So over the past 2 years, we have developed a variety of resources, whether it's, the Gateways to Patient-Family Partnership program on HQIC, which is, step-by-step instructions on how to develop a partnership program, or some smaller resources to help hospitals do a focus group, or, just some small things to consider. So with all of those resources being available, the hospitals are, I guess, a little overwhelmed and unsure where to start. So what we're going to be doing is bucketing them along that maturity model. So if a hospital is in the forming stage of their journey to developing a patient-family partnership program, they can go and have all of the resources available to them to take the first baby steps along that journey. So for those hospitals, it would be a readiness tool that we have that really outlines all of the things that we think hospitals should accomplish before taking the next step and then starting to actively engage patients and families in their work, which would be storming and then norming. So we're working on bucketing those resources to make them more easily accessible for hospitals. And then finally, we have monthly patient-family engagement for equity think tanks, which are, again, 30 minutes for the hospitals to come together and brainstorm, share challenges, share, their ideas and the work that they're doing. It's really a peer learning opportunity for the hospitals around one specific topic. So what we will be doing is starting to highlight use cases for those resources that I mentioned on those think tanks, just to continue to bring clarity to the hospitals around, when should they use what resources that are available to them. So those are our plans for the next couple of months. And of course, all of you will be engaged in every which way here. So I'm seeing a couple questions in the chat, Mary, wondering how many hospitals you have involved in this program and where they are. Can you, in what program, Mary? Can you clarify that for me?
Just the one you're talking about right now. You know, if there are, you know, there are going to be hospitals involved in, you know, storming and norming. I'm just curiosity. You know, maybe there
Yeah,
are ways that, you know,
absolutely.
and if this is on a website or something, I don't want to take up time. I'm just curious as to,
No,
you know,
I'm happy.
who's involved.
Yeah, happy to clarify. So the Cynosure HQIC is made up of 300 hospitals across 11 states. So that's
Okay.
really who we're targeting. For that, we sent out invitations for the storming sessions there's a hospital listserv. So sending the invitations directly to the hospitals. And I think we have about 15 registrants for each of the 3 storming sessions. I haven't really looked into the registration to see how many and who and where they're at this point, but happy to follow up and share more. But we're really targeting all of those.
Sure.
hospitals.
No, I just was
I'd love
curious.
if 300 showed up.
Yeah, no, it might be interesting just to see the so-called demographics of who, you know, who's like early adopters versus, you
Yeah.
know, late adopters, things like that. Anyway,
No,
cool.
absolutely. I
Thanks.
think that's a great point. And we were talking with Bev earlier today about planning for the sprints actually, and thinking about how we can break up the participants to, you know, if we do breakout rooms, can we group them with hospitals that are like theirs? So there's a lot of critical access hospitals that are part of Cynosure HQIC, but there's also some larger hospitals. So can we kind of group them together so they can learn from one another? But that's a great point. We'll definitely be learning more and seeing who those early adopters are over the next couple of months. And Sarah, can you send out the storming session sign up information again? I will be sending out an invitation to the hospital listserv again. I think tomorrow morning that will go out. So that will go out to the hospitals. This is really for the hospitals to, you know, share some of their challenges. We're definitely going to be engaging the patient family partners and all of you in the sprint sessions. Just trying to keep those storming sessions a peer sharing opportunity, but I'm happy to report back out all of what was shared by the hospitals. And then Barbara, I'm reading through your note. You're part of a meeting yesterday about rounding.
I can speak to it, Lindsay.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was at a meeting of clinicians and leaders on the acute care side, so hospital people. And they were talking about patient rounding and wanting to do it more and do it more in a more patient-centered way, but they don't have resources and nurses are leaving. So the topic of what about using PFAs and volunteers, and the biggest challenges were the bureaucratic ones, that it could take months, I mean, literally 3-4 months to onboard and train a new person. And among the hurdles are things like background checks, which can take a long time, and it's out of their hands. And also, if you're having patient contact, you have to have all of your shots, you know, food shots, tuberculosis test, all that.
Yeah.
And that was daunting. That was one of the biggest obstacles, was the bureaucratic infrastructure to onboard new patient volunteers.
Yeah, I understand that when it comes to, you know, patient rounding. But what we're really trying to do with hospitals, or actually for the patient family advisors, is encourage hospitals to make that onboarding process to become a patient family partner, to sit on a council, as easy as possible. You know, we work with Los Angeles County Department of Health Services, and in the beginning, they were having the patient family advisors go through their volunteer onboarding process, which was insane. We all did it as well as contractors for LA County DHS, and it was like I had to go down to LA to get my picture taken and my fingerprinted, all of that. And I was like, this is insane. We're having patients and families go through this to be a volunteer. So what we did was create a memorandum of understanding to completely bypass that whole process, bypass the background checks, because, you know, if someone, you know, may have some past, but they really want to be a volunteer, why are we doing background checks when they have a voice and they have something to share as well? So we have a memorandum of understanding that really, you know, formalizes the relationship between the organization and the patient and family caregiver without all of that bureaucratic stuff. But that when it comes to rounding and being in front of patients, I think that's, yeah, a whole other set of challenges for sure. And Mary, I see your hand up.
Yeah, this is Mary. I just really briefly, we talked about, you know, patients rounding and other patient family advisor, you know, connection to care teams. One of the things that comes up is not only, you know, getting in the door and following the rules, but it's also to make sure that whatever the patient family advisor hears is, you know, goes to the right people. And I think that's something, you know, that's sort of a specific one, but I think it's in general something about a real good rationale for why we should be on teams. And just as an example on the rounding side that came up last night in our meeting was, what if a patient family advisor hears about a safety issue? And maybe they're in the hospital, but it actually has to do with some lab thing. And so, you know, how does that fit into the reporting system and the workflows? And they wanted to make sure that they got it right. So those are, I don't want to go into the weeds on this, but it's just a good example of how, you know, you sometimes have to take a step back and make sure that whatever the patient family advisor hears or sees goes, you know, it gets to the right people so it can get, you know, get handled. So that's just, you know.
No, that's a great point. And, you know, well, I guess in the metrics, it's called shift change huddles, but they also rounding on patients as well. I think that's the second metric. So I love these ideas. And, you know, if we're encouraging the hospitals to now just start engaging patients, maybe we can focus on this topic in a few months to really discuss ways of how we can help hospitals, you know, be able to utilize patient family advisors to do that type of rounding, if that's something that we're passionate about. But I think, yeah, definitely put this in the parking lot for our discussion, because I think it's definitely an important one. Appreciate it. All right, any other questions about our technical assistance for the next couple of months? Really focusing on helping hospitals engage patients and families in improvement activities. All right, well, I'll stop there and pass it off to Laura, and I think we're now going to brainstorm a little bit.
Yep. Yes. So we wanted to ask you all what ideas you have for hospitals that are trying to develop or sustain patient-family partnership programs. And I know that was a long question. It'll be up on the screen. But we are going to use Jamboard for this. So as you have ideas, as we're having discussions, you're more than welcome to add it to the Jamboard. Here are some instructions. I'm going to put the link to the Jamboard here in the chat. There you go. To add an idea on the board, just click on the little sticky note here, type in your note and press save. And you can make them different colors if you'd like. And And yeah, we'll have it all here and I can. So this is the question. So what ideas do you have for hospitals trying to develop or sustain patient-family partnership programs? You're more than welcome to raise your hand or type it into the Jamboard, and I'll bring the Jamboard up right here. All. And I wrote to simplify the PFP onboarding, kind of what we talked about with Barbara. Start with DEI in mind. That's a good one.
I love that one.
Yes. Beverly Rogers.
My first thought is to keep it simple.
Mm.
Don't make it complicated. Don't make it complicated to get there. Don't make it complicated for reporting. Don't make it complicated for a lot of paperwork. And you probably have to talk with each person or however you set it up. But it needs to be simple, because you must remember that these are people who do have lives. So.
Mm-hmm. Very important. Yes. As simple as possible. We also have offered training and orientation online to help make completion easier. Ensure executive sponsorship is real and engaged. Have buy-in from staff. I feel like those kind of go together there. Anyone else? You're more than welcome to come off mute and share your ideas.
I have a question about, so there's another sticky note on here. I'm sorry I went off camera. I'm finishing my lunch. They should make sure they have a good recruitment process in place first, at least some good ideas. I'm curious from, how you have gone through recruitment processes. What makes a good recruitment process?
I wrote that over here in New Mexico. What they did was initially start off with asking primary care doctors and stuff if they felt they had some patients that would be interested in doing things. So they started from the inside out and then got to us that way. But also on the same subject, when we first started at UNM, they didn't really have a good idea, and they're kind of making it up on the fly. So it kind of stood at like 4 people for a year to a year and a half. So if you don't have any good ideas or maybe someone else's ideas that worked, you probably shouldn't start it until you have those ideas in place. Or else you're going to remain small and your recruitment's going to be even smaller.
That's a good point. When we talk to hospitals who are just getting started, we encourage them to look at their hospital's strategic goals and look at the work that they're already doing, and have an idea of where you want patient family partners to have an impact before you even start recruiting. That's a great point, Anthony.
Mm-hmm. And I like that, going through the providers too. That's something that came up in a different hub meeting, talking about the trust that some people have with their providers. And so if they suggest something like a patient family partnership council, then that's a good place to start for recruitment. All right, trying to keep up with these here. Great ideas. Involve PFAC members in defining their own goals and purpose. I like that. And then find constructive passion from patient narrative, maybe at a department level first. Start small if needed. Maureen?
Hi, I just wanted to know, I think if we establish good relationships with patients while they're in the hospital, as we're doing our leader rounds, not to count them out as potentially someone who would be perfect for a committee or maybe a family member. But the other place I sometimes find really good feedback and people who we can connect with in this kind of a discussion are in our patient experience comments and patients who write letters. Thank you.
Thank you. It's great ideas. There's, yeah, definitely many avenues for recruitment. See, also have clinicians recommend family members in addition to patients as PFAC members. Have topics problems lined up for the PFAC to jump into from the start. Yeah. Any others?
They also need to have the ability to contact people who left comments or complaints to get start right there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Just reading all of these here. Anybody else want to, you're more than welcome to come off mute and either expand on these or tell us something new.
Mary, I was just going to say, I probably type too much.
No, okay.
When we have monthly meetings, we have invited speakers from different parts of the organization, and they come in and, I mean, the PFAs ask the council organizers, can you get, this is a topic we're interested in. We'd love to hear more about what's going on in this or that, whether it's online access or safety programs or community outreach or diversity, equity, inclusion, and so we invite sort of what might be called subject matter experts, program leads, leadership, to come in and just give an overview, and the discussion that happens after their 10, 15, 20-minute spiel is, for a lot of times, it's enlightening for the leaders as to how passionate the PFAs are. They get insights into where they could improve, and oftentimes it's a great way to break down that barrier of leaders having the time to ask for who's interested. They literally get people to sign up like right then and there. So it's just something to consider once councils are set up. It's a great way to keep people motivated and informed, and build bridges between the PFAs and the institutional groups.
Mm-hmm. Great ideas. Maureen, I saw you had your hand up.
I was just going to mention another good place is ask your board members, because they're members of the community, and they often get connections that we don't have at the hospital side, of people who are really interested or have special expertise that might really help our committee be safer and a better committee. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Another good place to start. Yeah. Glenn.
Yeah, this is a comment and a question. Because I'm thinking about forming, norming, storming, performing, and how they progress through there. And I think about the patient family PFAC that I'm on, and it's specific to one functional area. So I'm just kind of wondering about these 300 hospitals, and I guess some of them are smaller, but I can envision it being very difficult to form, norm, storm when you've got input from all different functional areas of a hospital. Because we just focus on one thing in our PFAC, and there's other PFACs at the UCLA hospital. So I'm just wondering if that's one of the challenges that they're facing. It's like, if you have to include people from all different areas, people are there for all different reasons, then you've kind of got a PFAC that's got a lot of areas to address with different goals and different aspirations. So that might be an impediment to forming or norming or storming or performing. It's a comment and a question, I guess.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I'm sure coming from that PFAC that is so focused on one thing, that's, yeah, what I always say is keep it simple. And I think Lindsay put in the comments, that's what, yeah, that's why I love the comment to keep it simple. It can be overwhelming for hospitals that are just getting started. So I think starting with, I think someone put in here, have a topic lined up for the PFAC to jump into, and start from there.
But that topic has to span every, I'm calling it functional area at a hospital.
Right,
you
right,
know,
yeah,
As opposed to something that would just be interested to me in psychiatry,
very true,
mental
very
health,
true.
I should say.
Not an easy task to take on for sure. Barbara.
So I had a couple of thoughts, but just Glenn, your question is such a good one. And this is not a solution, but it's just a model that is different. At Sutter, which is very large and has many, many different hospitals and clinics affiliated with it. The way the PFAC structure is organized is by geography. You know, so if you get your care at Sutter Santa Rosa or in San Francisco or wherever, you are on a PFAC for that geography. And within that geography, there may be unit-specific PFACs, so like littler PFACs, like for neonatal or behavioral health or whatever. And then there's also a system-wide PFAC, which is a group of people from anywhere who come together to talk about issues that tend to have ripple effects throughout the system. So I think it works. It's not a simple structure, but I think people can find their place within it and their purpose. But the two things I was going to address, one is don't forget the caregiver. You know, as a volunteer or as a PFAC member, you know, they're, especially in an inpatient unit, you know, they may be sitting there for hours and hours, day after day after day. And they may be learning a lot that they could share. So don't forget about the caregivers as people to recruit also. And the other thing is, it just kind of worked out in our PFAC. This is at Sutter in San Francisco, which is called CPMC. Most of the people who are on it are people who have kind of like long-term conditions. So they have an ongoing relationship with their providers or with a department, like it's somebody who has a rare disease and there's somebody who had a heart transplant. And they are attached to their departments. And their doctors know them. So when those departments were approached, do you have any people who might want to be PFAC members? You know, they knew their people and they could start the conversation. So, you know, think about starting with those departments where there are longer term patients, rather than like orthopedics, maybe where you just get your knee fixed and that's the end of it. Hopefully that's the end of it.
Yeah, that's a great point. There are people who definitely spend a lot more time getting care. And also those caregivers are great people to join the BFACs. Thank you. Beverly?
One thought might be getting the marketing department into it, because when you have admissions or, like Barbara said, long-term care people or people who are in and out a lot, if you have something attached, either in the admission that says, you know, consider being a volunteer, you know, and here's a number to call, and maybe at discharge, consider being a volunteer and coming back and talking to us, so that, you know, somewhere in there, you're actually in front of them, and it doesn't come, you're not actually looking for them, but they're already there and they're already in the process. Now, all of it may not be good, but at least if you have something for them to see, and it's like, oh, I could be a volunteer. What does that look like? And then you have the explanation when someone calls back or get more information or whatever. And make sure you have in there the benefits of being, in partnership with that particular hospital. I mean, it's got to be, why would I want to do that?
Absolutely. Yeah, people definitely need to see the benefits. Any other ideas? Thanks for joining us, Mary. You're still here. Thank you, Lindsay, for taking notes while people were speaking too. Barbara?
One of my biggest frustrations being on the CPM-CP PAC is that way too often, we get called in at the end to review. And I think if there's a way to spread the word, educate department heads, nurse managers, about the value of PFAC, about what we can do, and the message that the earlier you involve us in the process, the greater the value, and the less rework that will have to be done.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's very important to have the patient voice in there from the beginning. Right. Any other thoughts and ideas, comments, questions before we move on? Nope. If you come up with anything, I have, we will put it in our forum. Here, I'll show you. Here, down in the hospital quality and safety. That's where we'll find all of our HQIC forum posts. And I will add, it's not in here yet, but I will add this topic and the Jamboard to the forum, and I'll send this link out to you all now. And we will, you are more than welcome to go back in and post more thoughts and ideas in the Jamboard. And we'll also send out the link for the forum and for the Jamboard in follow-up. Anything else? All right, we will go ahead and move on. And I will pass it over to Bev to talk about our improvement efforts.
Thanks, Laura. We don't have a lot of actually open engagements right now, but with those sprints, you can bet they'll be coming up real soon. But we did want to share with you, we had discussed both with this group and with the PFPC, our improvement efforts around supporting engagement and assessing it. So we just wanted to let you know that we added, based on your input, we added more details in the prep outline. So we'll have more specifics available for you before you go into that engagement process. And we tweaked the evaluation tool. One of the things that we spoke with this group about was kind of capturing the amount of time. We know, we schedule a prep session for 30 minutes, but we know many of you spend more time than that working on what you're going to say and do. And so we've added that into the evaluation tool. So you'll have it right there when you're evaluating your experience. Just plop in the number of hours outside of our prep meetings that you put. This will help us give CMS more accurate depiction of the amount of effort that you are all putting in. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Bev. Any questions on our improvements so far? Or comments? We accept all. All right, well, thank you, Bev. Thank you everyone for the great brainstorm. There's lots to look at there and go through on that Jamboard. We're very excited about that. Well, if we don't have any other questions, we can go ahead and wrap up a little early today. Our next meeting will be November 10th at the same time, same place. My email is there. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Again, I'll send out those links in follow-up so you can fill out that Jamboard or post in the forum. And we will see you all next time.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye-bye.